A man turned his phone off for 7 days. No social media, no group chats, no checking who called, who posted, who was upset, or who suddenly needed him. He expected to feel disconnected. Instead, on the third morning, he noticed something strange. He could hear the birds outside his window again. His breakfast tasted different. His thoughts were slower. He slept without replaying other people's problems in his head. Nothing magical had happened. He had simply stopped allowing hundreds of people to enter his mind every day. And that is when he understood a truth most people discover far too late. Sometimes your life is not stressful because you have too many problems. It is stressful because too many people are living inside your attention. 1. Stop giving everyone a front row seat to your life. You do not need to tell everyone what is happening in your life. Not every plan, relationship, goal, problem, or decision needs to become public information. The more people know, the more opinions you usually receive, and too many opinions can make simple decisions feel confusing. You may know what you want, but after hearing advice, criticism, doubts, and questions from different people, you can start second-guessing yourself. This is why privacy can protect your peace. Buddhism teaches us not to depend too much on the approval of others. You do not need everyone to understand your choices before you make them. Some people will support you, some will question you, and some may judge you simply because your path is different from theirs. If you keep trying to satisfy every opinion, you may slowly lose connection with your own direction. Some things also grow better when they are kept quiet. A new goal may need time before you talk about it. A relationship may become stronger when fewer people are involved in it. A personal change may need space before you explain it to anyone. You can still be friendly, open, and caring without sharing every detail of your life. Privacy is not secrecy. It is knowing what deserves to be shared and what deserves to be protected. 2. Not every message deserves an immediate response. You do not have to be available to everyone all the time. Just because someone sends you a message or calls you does not mean you must immediately stop what you are doing and respond. When you constantly react to every notification, your attention becomes divided and your mind rarely gets a chance to rest. You may be working, eating, reading, or simply enjoying a quiet moment, but one message can quickly pull you into another person's problem, conversation, or emotional situation. Buddhism teaches us to protect our attention and stay present with what is happening in front of us. Being kind to someone does not mean giving them unlimited access to your time. You can care about people and still respond when you are ready. You can help someone without allowing their problems to control your entire day. Not every message is urgent, not every call is an emergency, and not every conversation needs your immediate attention. When you stop feeling responsible for answering everyone instantly, you create more space for yourself. You can focus better, rest without guilt, and give your full attention to the things that actually matter. People who respect you will understand that you have your own life, responsibilities, and need for quiet time. Protecting your availability is not being rude. It is simply learning that your peace deserves time and attention too. 3. Distance reveals which relationships were built on access. Sometimes you do not truly understand a relationship until you stop being available all the time. When you are always the person who answers quickly, gives advice, helps with problems, makes plans, checks in first, and says yes whenever someone needs something, people can become comfortable with that version of you. They may begin expecting your time, attention, and energy without even realizing how much you are giving. But when you step back a little, say no more often, or stop always being the one who keeps the connection alive, you begin to see the relationship more clearly. Some people will understand your distance. They will respect that you have your own responsibilities, goals, and need for peace. They will not become angry just because you are less available. They will still care about you, even when you cannot always help them. These are often the relationships that are built on genuine respect. They do not need constant access to you in order to feel secure. But other people may react differently. The moment you stop doing as much for them, they may say you have changed. They may become cold, complain that you are distant, or try to make you feel guilty. This can be painful, but it can also reveal something important. Sometimes a person was not only attached to you, they were attached to what you provided for them. They liked your attention, your help, your emotional support, your availability, or the fact that you were always there when they needed something. Buddhism teaches us to observe things as they are, instead of forcing them to become what we want them to be. If a relationship changes the moment you set a healthy boundary, do not immediately blame yourself. Simply pay attention. Ask yourself whether this person values you as a human being or mainly values the comfort and convenience you bring into their life. Real relationships can survive space, busy days, silence, and boundaries. They do not collapse just because you are no longer endlessly available. You also do not need to become angry when you discover that a relationship was more one-sided than you thought. Anger only creates another kind of attachment. You can notice the truth without creating drama. You can reduce your effort without making a speech. You can stop overgiving without trying to punish anyone. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is simply allow the relationship to show you what it really is. Distance is useful because it removes the pressure to perform. When you stop constantly proving your care through favors, messages, attention, and availability, you get to see who still stays connected to you. The people who truly value you will usually respect your space. The people who only valued your usefulness may slowly disappear. That may feel disappointing at first, but losing an unhealthy connection can create room for better ones. You do not need to keep every relationship alive simply because it has existed for a long time. Some connections belong to an earlier version of your life. Some people are meant to remain close, while others are meant to become distant. Peace begins when you stop forcing every connection to stay the same forever. If someone only feels close to you when they have unlimited access to your time and energy, a little distance may be exactly what you need to understand the truth. 4. You do not need to explain every boundary. One of the biggest reasons people lose their peace is because they feel they must explain every decision they make. They say no to an invitation, then immediately give a long reason. They decide not to answer a personal question, then feel guilty for protecting their privacy. They need time alone, but instead of simply taking that time, they begin worrying about whether someone will think they are rude, distant, selfish, or different. This creates unnecessary pressure because now you are not only trying to protect your peace, you are also trying to make everyone comfortable with the way you protect it. A boundary does not need to become a long conversation every time you use it. Sometimes, "I cannot make it" is enough. Sometimes, "I need some time for myself" is enough. Sometimes, "I would rather not talk about that" is enough. You do not always need to explain every detail behind your decision. The more you explain yourself to certain people, the more they may begin treating your boundary like something they can negotiate. You say you are tired, and they tell you to come anyway. You say you are busy, and they try to convince you that their request will only take a few minutes. You say you want privacy, and they keep asking questions because they believe you owe them an answer. Buddhism teaches us to become less attached to the opinions and reactions of other people. This is important because sometimes you can make a healthy decision and someone will still dislike it. You can speak respectfully and someone may still misunderstand you. You can set a reasonable boundary and someone may still call you selfish. If your peace depends on everyone agreeing with your choices, then your peace will always remain in other people's hands. You have to become comfortable with the fact that not everyone will understand your boundaries. Some people are used to having easy access to you, so when that access changes, they may feel uncomfortable. They may say, "You were never like this before," or "Why are you acting differently?" But changing does not always mean something is wrong. Sometimes changing means you finally realized that constantly saying yes was exhausting you. Sometimes it means you are learning to protect your time. Sometimes it means you are no longer willing to sacrifice your peace simply to keep other people happy. A healthy boundary is not about punishing anyone. It is not about becoming cold or trying to prove that you do not need people. It is simply a clear understanding of what you can give without harming your own well-being. If you are tired, you are allowed to rest. If you do not want to discuss something personal, you are allowed to keep it private. If a conversation becomes disrespectful, you are allowed to leave it. If someone repeatedly brings chaos into your life, you are allowed to create distance. Many people struggle with boundaries because they confuse kindness with constant agreement. They believe that being a good person means always saying yes, always helping, always listening, and always being available. But kindness without limits can slowly become self-neglect. If you constantly give everyone what they want while ignoring what you need, resentment will eventually grow inside you. You may begin blaming people for taking too much, even though you never clearly showed them where your limits were. This is why boundaries can actually improve relationships. When people know what you can and cannot give, there is less confusion. You are no longer helping while secretly feeling angry. You are no longer agreeing while wishing you had said no. You are no longer pretending everything is fine while feeling emotionally exhausted. A clear boundary allows you to give from a genuine place instead of giving because you are afraid of disappointing someone. Buddhism also reminds us that we cannot control how people respond to us. You can control your words, your actions, and your intentions, but you cannot control another person's interpretation. Someone may understand your need for space, while another person may take it personally. Someone may respect your privacy, while another person may become offended. Your responsibility is to communicate with kindness and honesty, not to control every reaction that follows. There will also be times when silence is a better response than another explanation. If you have already explained your boundary clearly and someone continues pushing against it, repeating yourself may only create more stress. You do not have to keep defending a decision simply because another person refuses to accept it. A boundary becomes meaningful when your actions support it. If you say you need space, take the space. If you say you will not continue a disrespectful conversation, step away when the disrespect begins. Your actions teach people how seriously you take your own limits. It is also important to remember that people who truly care about you will not require you to destroy your peace in order to prove your love. They will understand that you sometimes need rest. They will understand that you have your own responsibilities. They will respect that some parts of your life are private. They may not always agree with every decision you make, but they will not constantly pressure you to abandon your boundaries for their comfort. When you begin setting stronger boundaries, you may lose some people. That can feel painful, especially if you are used to keeping everyone happy. But sometimes people leave because the relationship depended on you having no limits. If someone only stays close when you are always available, always agreeing, and always giving, then their reaction to your boundary is valuable information. You do not need to hate them or argue with them. Simply notice what the situation is teaching you. Peace grows when you stop believing that everyone needs to approve of the way you live. You can be respectful without over-explaining. You can be compassionate without abandoning yourself. You can love people while still protecting your time, privacy, and emotional energy. The more comfortable you become with simple, clear boundaries, the less unnecessary pressure you carry. And eventually, saying no will stop feeling like something you must apologize for and start feeling like a normal part of protecting the life you are trying to build. 5. Stop collecting people just to avoid feeling alone. Many people keep too many unnecessary relationships in their lives because they are afraid of being alone. They stay connected to people they no longer trust, continue conversations that no longer feel meaningful, and keep saying yes to gatherings they do not enjoy, simply because silence makes them uncomfortable. They would rather be surrounded by the wrong people than spend time by themselves. But being around many people does not always protect you from loneliness. Sometimes it makes loneliness even stronger, because you can be in a crowded room and still feel that nobody truly understands you. Buddhism teaches us that solitude is not something we always need to escape from. Quiet time can actually help us understand ourselves more deeply. When you are constantly surrounded by people, their opinions, habits, expectations, and emotions can become mixed with your own. You may start liking things because everyone around you likes them. You may chase goals because other people think they are important. You may stay in situations simply because leaving would make you feel different from everyone else. When you spend some time alone, you begin separating your own voice from all the voices around you. This can feel uncomfortable at first, because many people are not used to sitting quietly with themselves. The moment there is silence, they reach for their phone, they send messages, open social media, call someone, or look for something to distract them. They are not always looking for connection. Sometimes they are simply trying to avoid being alone with their own thoughts. But if you constantly escape silence, you never give yourself the chance to understand what is happening inside you. Solitude gives you that chance. It allows you to notice what makes you happy without an audience. You begin discovering what kind of music you actually enjoy, what kind of work gives you meaning, what kind of people make you feel safe, and what kind of lifestyle gives you peace. You stop asking, "What will people think?" and begin asking, "What actually feels right for me?" This is an important change because a peaceful life cannot be built entirely around the approval of other people. There is also a difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is the feeling that something meaningful is missing. Solitude is simply being with yourself. You can feel lonely in a relationship, in a friendship group, at a party, or even in your own family. At the same time, you can spend an entire day alone and feel peaceful, focused, and complete. The difference is not always how many people are around you. The difference is the quality of your relationship with yourself. If you do not enjoy your own company, you may accept almost anyone just to avoid being alone. This is where many unhealthy relationships begin. You tolerate disrespect because at least someone is there. You ignore red flags because starting over feels frightening. You keep answering people who drain you because you fear having nobody to talk to. You lower your standards for friendship because an empty contact list feels worse than an unhealthy connection. But every person you keep close has some effect on your life. Their habits influence you. Their conversations affect your mood. Their values can slowly shape your thinking. This is why choosing people carefully is more important than simply having many people around you. A peaceful person with 3 trustworthy friends may have a much richer life than someone with 50 relationships filled with gossip, competition, jealousy, and constant drama. Buddhism encourages simplicity, and simplicity also applies to relationships. You do not need to maintain every connection forever. Some friendships naturally change. Some people move in different directions. Some relationships belong to a certain season of your life and then slowly become distant. That does not always mean anyone did something wrong. Sometimes 2 people simply grow differently, and forcing the relationship to continue can create more stress than accepting the change. You may also notice that some friendships only exist because of habit. You talk because you have always talked. You meet because you have always met. But when you look carefully, the connection may no longer bring honesty, growth, support, or peace. This does not mean you need to suddenly cut everyone off. It simply means you can stop forcing closeness where closeness no longer naturally exists. A smaller circle can give you more energy for the people who truly matter. Instead of spreading yourself across dozens of shallow relationships, you can invest more deeply in a few meaningful ones. You can have conversations where you feel safe being yourself. You can spend time with people who do not constantly compete with you, judge you, or bring unnecessary confusion into your life. Quality becomes more important than quantity. There is also something powerful about learning how to enjoy simple moments by yourself. Going for a walk without needing someone beside you. Eating a meal without feeling uncomfortable because you are alone. Reading, exercising, working, traveling, or sitting somewhere peaceful without constantly needing company. These small experiences teach you that your life does not stop simply because nobody else is present. When you become comfortable with your own company, your standards naturally become stronger. You stop keeping people around just because they are available. You begin asking whether their presence actually adds something healthy to your life. You no longer fear distance as much because you know you can handle quiet periods. This makes you less likely to chase people, beg for attention, or remain in relationships that repeatedly hurt you. Being comfortable alone also makes your relationships healthier because you stop needing people to complete you. You can appreciate them without depending on them for your entire sense of happiness. You can love someone without becoming afraid every time they need space. You can enjoy a friendship without demanding constant communication. You become less controlling because you are no longer terrified of your own solitude. This is one of the quiet freedoms Buddhism points toward. You begin realizing that happiness does not always require more people, more conversations, more invitations, and more attention. Sometimes happiness grows when life becomes simpler. Fewer people, but better relationships. Fewer conversations, but more meaningful ones. Fewer social obligations, but more time to think, rest, create, and understand yourself. Do not be afraid if your circle becomes smaller as you grow. A smaller circle does not mean your life is becoming empty. It may simply mean you are becoming more careful about where your energy goes. You are no longer collecting people just to feel busy, wanted, or socially accepted. You are choosing connection with more intention. And once you stop fearing solitude, you become much harder to control through attention. You no longer stay where you are disrespected simply because you fear losing someone. You no longer accept every invitation because you are afraid of missing out. You no longer chase people who repeatedly show you that they do not value your presence. You know that walking away may create temporary silence, but that silence is often better than remaining inside constant emotional noise. A quiet life with a few genuine people can be far more peaceful than a crowded life filled with unnecessary relationships. Learn to enjoy your own company, and you will stop treating every person who enters your life as someone who must stay. 6. Protect your inner world from people who live in constant chaos. The people you spend time with have more influence on your mind than you may realize. Their words, habits, attitudes, fears, and emotions slowly enter your thinking. If you spend enough time around people who constantly complain, you may begin noticing only what is wrong with life. If you spend enough time around people who gossip about everyone, you may start seeing other people through suspicion and judgment. If you are always around someone who creates conflict, even peaceful days can begin to feel stressful because your mind becomes used to waiting for the next problem. This is why protecting your inner world is so important. Your mind is where you live every day. You can leave a noisy room, walk away from an argument, or turn off your phone, but you still carry your thoughts with you. If you allow too many negative voices to enter your mind, their words can remain there long after the conversation ends. You may replay what someone said, worry about a problem that was never yours, or feel angry about people and situations that have nothing to do with your own life. Buddhism teaches us to pay careful attention to what we allow into the mind. Just as you would not eat anything placed in front of you without thinking about whether it is healthy, you should not accept every thought, opinion, complaint, or piece of gossip that someone gives you. Not everything deserves to be carried. Some conversations leave you wiser, calmer, and more understanding. Others leave you irritated, suspicious, tired, and mentally heavy. Learning to notice the difference can protect a great deal of your peace. Think about how you feel after spending time with certain people. Some people leave you feeling relaxed. You can talk with them without pretending, competing, or carefully choosing every word. They respect your silence and do not turn every small situation into a major problem. Other people can make you feel tired after only a short conversation. They may complain about everyone, criticize everything, bring you into conflicts you never asked to be part of, or repeatedly tell you problems while refusing to change anything. This does not always mean they are bad people. Sometimes people are simply carrying pain, fear, anger, disappointment, or confusion that they have not learned how to manage. Buddhism encourages compassion, so we do not need to judge them harshly. But compassion does not mean allowing another person's chaos to become your daily environment. You can understand someone and still create distance. You can care about someone without becoming responsible for their emotional state. You can wish them well without allowing their problems to live inside your mind. Many people confuse helping someone with carrying everything for them. A friend has a problem, so you think about it all night. A family member is angry, so your entire mood changes. Someone is arguing with another person, and suddenly you are expected to choose a side. Someone keeps repeating the same complaint every week, and you become their place to release all their frustration. Over time, you may begin carrying emotional weight that does not belong to you. There is a difference between listening with compassion and absorbing another person's suffering. Listening means you can be present while still remembering that their life is their responsibility. Absorbing means their emotions become your emotions. Their anger becomes your anger. Their fear becomes your fear. Their problem follows you home, even though there is nothing you can do to solve it. Protecting your peace means learning where another person's emotional world ends and yours begins. You also need to be careful with people who keep bringing gossip into your life. Gossip can feel harmless because it often begins as simple conversation. Someone tells you what another person said, what happened in someone else's relationship, who is angry with whom, or what mistake someone made. For a few minutes, it may even feel interesting. But when gossip becomes a regular habit, it changes the atmosphere of your mind. You begin thinking about people who are not even present. You become involved in situations that have nothing to do with you. You may start comparing, judging, and forming opinions based on stories you do not fully understand. Buddhist teachings often encourage right speech, which means speaking in ways that reduce harm instead of increasing it. Before joining a conversation, ask yourself whether what you are discussing is useful, truthful, necessary, or kind. If the answer is no, silence may give you more peace than participating. You do not have to know everything happening in everyone else's life. In fact, the less unnecessary information you carry about other people, the more mental space you have for your own life. There are also people who seem to need conflict in order to feel alive. When life is peaceful, they create another problem. When one disagreement ends, another begins. They may constantly argue with friends, family members, co-workers, or strangers online. If you stay too close to this kind of pattern, you can slowly become part of it. Even if you are naturally calm, you may find yourself explaining, defending, choosing sides, or dealing with situations you never wanted. You are allowed to stop participating in other people's repeated drama. You do not need to answer every story with advice. You do not need to become involved in every disagreement. Sometimes the most peaceful response is, "I hope you work it out," and then continue with your own day. You are not responsible for fixing every relationship around you. You are not responsible for making everyone understand each other. Pay attention to people who repeatedly disturb your peace and then act as if you are the problem for wanting distance. They may call you cold because you no longer want to hear the same drama every day. They may say you have changed because you do not participate in gossip anymore. They may become uncomfortable because you no longer react to every emotional situation. This is often what happens when you begin changing patterns that other people benefited from. You do not need to argue about your change. Let your behavior speak for you. If a conversation becomes gossip, change the subject or leave it. If someone repeatedly calls only to complain, shorten the conversation. If someone tries to pull you into a conflict that does not concern you, refuse to choose a side. These small choices may seem simple, but together they can completely change the quality of your daily life. Protecting your inner world also means becoming more careful about what you consume when no other person is physically around you. Social media can give hundreds of people access to your mind without them ever entering your home. Every argument, negative comment, dramatic video, frightening headline, and comparison can affect your mood. You may wake up feeling peaceful and lose that peace within 10 minutes of scrolling through other people's emotions. This is another form of access. Someone does not need to sit beside you to influence your mind. If you constantly watch their content, read their opinions, follow their arguments, and compare your life to theirs, they already have access to your attention. Buddhism reminds us that attention is precious because whatever we repeatedly focus on becomes stronger in our awareness. If you feed your mind constant conflict, conflict will begin to feel normal. You may need to unfollow some people, mute certain accounts, leave certain group chats, or simply spend less time online. You do not have to make a dramatic announcement about it. You are allowed to quietly remove things that repeatedly disturb your mind. Your phone should be a tool in your life, not an open door through which thousands of people enter your thoughts whenever they want. Another important lesson is that you should not feel guilty for wanting calm relationships. Some people become so used to chaos that peace feels strange to them. They may think every friendship must involve constant talking, every relationship needs emotional intensity, and every disagreement needs a long argument. But healthy connection does not always feel intense. Often it feels simple. You know where you stand. You do not have to constantly prove your loyalty. You can disagree without attacking each other. You can spend time apart without creating unnecessary suspicion. Peaceful people may seem less exciting at first because they are not constantly creating emotional highs and lows. But over time, you begin appreciating how valuable stability is. You realize how beautiful it feels to talk with someone who does not turn your words against you later. You appreciate people who can listen without spreading your private information. You value someone who can celebrate your success without secretly competing with you. The more peaceful you become inside, the more sensitive you may become to unnecessary chaos. Things you once accepted may begin feeling exhausting. Conversations you once enjoyed may begin feeling empty. People you used to spend hours with may no longer fit the direction of your life. This does not mean you think you are better than them. It simply means your needs and values are changing. Growth sometimes creates distance naturally. When you stop gossiping, some conversations disappear. When you stop complaining, you may have less to discuss with people whose entire connection with you was built around complaints. When you stop chasing drama, people who enjoy drama may stop inviting you into it. Instead of seeing this as a problem, see it as your life becoming more aligned with the peace you are trying to create. You should also understand that protecting your peace does not require cutting everyone off the moment they have a bad day. Everyone complains sometimes. Everyone becomes emotional. Everyone makes mistakes. A healthy boundary is not about expecting perfection from people. It is about noticing repeated patterns. There is a big difference between someone who is going through a difficult period and someone who makes chaos their permanent way of living. If a person is struggling but also trying to grow, listening to them may be an act of genuine compassion. But if someone brings the same problem to you repeatedly, rejects every solution, and expects you to carry their emotions forever, you may need stronger boundaries. You cannot do another person's inner work for them. You can support them, but you cannot become responsible for their healing. Buddhism teaches that each person must eventually observe and understand their own mind. You can guide someone toward the door, but you cannot force them to walk through it. The same is true in relationships. You can offer patience, kindness, and advice, but you cannot change someone who does not want to change. At some point, continuing to absorb their chaos helps neither of you. Sometimes your presence even allows unhealthy behavior to continue because the person knows you will always be there to clean up the emotional consequences. Creating distance can encourage both people to take more responsibility. You stop becoming the place where every problem is dropped, and they are given the opportunity to learn how to carry their own life. You should also protect yourself from unnecessary criticism. Some people are never satisfied. Whatever you do, they find something wrong with it. If you speak, they criticize what you said. If you stay quiet, they ask why you are distant. If you succeed, they question how you did it. If you struggle, they remind you of your mistakes. Spending too much time around constant criticism can slowly make you doubt yourself. Not every opinion deserves equal importance. Ask yourself who is speaking and why their opinion should matter. Is this someone who understands your life? Do they genuinely want the best for you? Have they built the kind of life you respect? Or are they simply speaking because they have access to you? The fact that someone has an opinion does not automatically mean you need to carry it. You can listen without obeying. You can hear criticism without turning it into your identity. You can consider useful feedback and release the rest. This is another form of mental discipline. Your mind should not become a storage room for every sentence other people throw into it. The more carefully you protect your inner world, the more peaceful your outer life often becomes. You stop reacting to every comment. You stop joining every argument. You stop trying to correct every misunderstanding. You become more selective about where your energy goes. Problems that once occupied your entire day may now receive only a few minutes of attention. This does not mean you stop caring. In many ways, you may become more compassionate because you are no longer exhausted by everyone else's emotions. When your own mind is calm, you can listen more clearly, you can help without becoming overwhelmed, you can give from strength instead of giving from guilt. A peaceful life requires protecting what enters your mind just as carefully as you protect what enters your home. You would not give every stranger a key to your house, so do not give every person unlimited access to your thoughts, emotions, and attention. Some people can stand at the door without being invited inside. Some conversations can end without another explanation. Some problems can remain with the people they belong to. Choose carefully who you spend your time with. Choose carefully what conversations you continue. Notice how people affect your energy, your thinking, and your mood. Keep compassion in your heart, but do not confuse compassion with allowing constant chaos into your life. You can love people and still need distance. You can forgive someone and still decide that they should not have the same level of access to you. You can wish someone happiness while protecting your own. The quieter your inner world becomes, the more clearly you begin to see what deserves your attention. You realize that peace is not created only through meditation or silence. It is also created through everyday decisions about who you listen to, what you participate in, and what you refuse to carry. Protect your mind from unnecessary chaos, and you will discover how much lighter life feels when you stop carrying emotions, conflicts, and problems that were never yours to begin with. 7. Let your life become boring to people who thrive on drama. There is a stage in life where peace starts becoming more attractive than excitement. You stop feeling the need to know every rumor, join every argument, answer every message, and stay involved in everything happening around you. You begin enjoying simple days more than dramatic ones. Your life may look quieter from the outside, but inside, it feels much more stable. This is often a sign that you are growing. Some people are so used to chaos that they do not know what to do with peace. They always need something happening. If there is no problem, they search for one. If there is no argument, they begin talking about someone else. If life becomes too quiet, they may create tension just to feel something. When you spend too much time around this kind of energy, you can slowly begin believing that a peaceful life is boring. But peace is not boring. Peace is what many people spend years searching for after exhausting themselves with unnecessary drama. Buddhism encourages us to value simplicity. A simple life does not mean a meaningless life. It means you stop filling your days with things that do not deserve your attention. You stop chasing stimulation just because silence makes you uncomfortable. You begin finding satisfaction in ordinary moments that you may have ignored before. A peaceful morning can become enough. You wake up without immediately checking who messaged you. You drink something warm. You sit quietly for a few minutes. You think about your own day instead of starting it with other people's problems. There may be nothing exciting about that morning, but there is something valuable in it. Your mind belongs to you. Many people do not realize how much of their stress comes from unnecessary involvement. They know too much about everyone's relationships. They are aware of every disagreement in the family. They follow online arguments between people they have never met. They stay in group chats where most conversations are complaints, gossip, or criticism. They tell themselves they are simply staying connected, but their minds never truly rest. The more peaceful you become, the less interested you may become in these things. You start asking yourself, why do I need to know this? If a piece of information does not help you, protect you, teach you something valuable, or directly concern your life, maybe you do not need to carry it. This simple question can remove a surprising amount of mental clutter. People who thrive on drama may not understand this change. They may think you have become boring because you no longer react the way you once did. Someone brings you gossip, and you do not show much interest. Someone tries to pull you into an argument, and you refuse to choose a side. Someone sends you a dramatic message, and instead of answering immediately, you wait until you are calm. To them, this may feel like you have changed, and you probably have. You are learning that not every situation needs your emotional energy. You are learning that reacting quickly does not make you strong. Sometimes strength is remaining calm when everyone around you expects a reaction. Sometimes maturity is recognizing that a conversation is going nowhere and choosing not to continue it. Buddhism teaches us to observe our impulses. When someone says something that irritates you, the first impulse may be to defend yourself. When someone spreads a rumor, your first impulse may be to correct everyone. When someone ignores you, you may want to chase them for an explanation. But if you pause, you often discover that you do not need to do any of these things. You can let some things pass. That does not mean allowing people to disrespect you without limits. It means learning the difference between something that needs action and something that only wants a reaction. Not every small insult deserves a long argument. Not every misunderstanding needs to become a serious conversation. Not every person deserves the energy required to explain yourself. Imagine how much calmer your life could become if you stopped responding to things that do not deserve a response. Someone makes a rude comment. You notice it and continue with your day. Someone tries to make you jealous. You do not participate. Someone wants you to compete with them. You simply stay focused on your own path. Someone dislikes you. You accept that not everyone needs to like you. This kind of life may not create many dramatic stories to tell, but it creates something much more important: emotional stability. There is also freedom in no longer needing everyone to know what you are doing. People who live for drama often need constant updates. They want to know who you are talking to, what you are planning, where you are going, what happened in your relationship, and why you made a certain decision. If you are used to explaining everything, it may feel strange to simply keep your life private. But privacy can make life beautifully simple. You do not have to announce every goal. You do not have to post every happy moment. You do not need to explain every difficult period. You can allow your life to happen without turning it into a performance. When something good happens, you can enjoy it without immediately showing everyone. When something painful happens, you can process it privately instead of collecting opinions. This gives you time to understand your own experience before other people begin telling you what it means. The quieter your life becomes, the more you may notice how exhausting constant performance was. You were trying to look successful, happy, busy, social, confident, or unbothered. You were thinking about how your life appeared instead of simply experiencing it. When you stop performing, life becomes more honest. You may have fewer people watching, but you begin feeling more present. One of the deepest lessons in Buddhism is that craving creates suffering. We often think of craving as wanting money, possessions, or status, but we can also crave attention, excitement, approval, and constant stimulation. We can become addicted to always having something happening. A quiet life asks you to release some of that craving. You no longer need a new problem every week just to feel alive. You do not need someone constantly texting you to feel wanted. You do not need invitations every weekend to feel important. You do not need to know that people are talking about you. You begin realizing that a calm nervous system feels better than constant emotional intensity. This can change your relationships too. You start appreciating people who are easy to be around, people who do not need to create problems in order to feel close to you, people you can sit with quietly, people who respect your space, people who do not become insecure when you are busy, people who do not test your loyalty through unnecessary drama. Healthy relationships can sometimes feel less exciting than unhealthy ones because they do not constantly push you between emotional highs and lows. There are fewer arguments followed by intense apologies, fewer threats of leaving, less jealousy, less confusion, less guessing. Instead, there is consistency. At first, if you are used to chaos, consistency may feel unfamiliar. You may even mistake peace for a lack of passion. But over time, you begin understanding how valuable it is to know where you stand with someone. You stop walking on emotional eggshells. You stop wondering what mood they will be in today. You stop preparing yourself for the next conflict. Your body begins to relax. Peace becomes something you can feel physically. Your sleep may improve because you are not replaying arguments at night. Your concentration becomes stronger because fewer people are occupying your thoughts. Your mood becomes more stable because you are not allowing every outside situation to control it. This is why reducing unnecessary access can be so powerful. When fewer people can reach you whenever they want, fewer people can interrupt your emotional state whenever they want. It is important, however, not to turn peace into another form of avoidance. A quiet life does not mean running from every difficult conversation. Some problems need to be faced. Some relationships require honest communication. Some conflicts are necessary because something important needs to be addressed. Buddhist wisdom is not about escaping reality. It is about meeting reality without unnecessary attachment and reaction. The goal is not to avoid all discomfort. The goal is to stop creating extra suffering around discomfort. If someone you love hurts you, you may need to speak with them, but you do not need to tell 10 other people first. If you make a mistake, you may need to apologize, but you do not need to spend months hating yourself. If someone consistently disrespects you, you may need to leave, but you do not need to spend years trying to destroy their reputation afterward. Handle what needs to be handled, then return to peace. This is very different from a life where every small issue becomes an identity. Some people spend years talking about one betrayal. They bring the same story into every conversation. They allow one person's behavior to continue controlling them long after the relationship ended. A peaceful life means you stop giving old situations new energy. You learn from them, adjust your boundaries, and continue. You may also notice that the more peaceful you become, the fewer people you need. This does not mean you become lonely or isolated. It means you stop using quantity as proof of a good life. Maybe you once believed that having many friends meant you were valued. Now you understand that one honest friend can be more valuable than 20 people who only know the surface of you. Maybe you once wanted to be invited everywhere. Now you understand that many invitations come with exhaustion, forced conversations, and energy you would rather use somewhere else. You become comfortable saying no. Not because you dislike people, but because you finally understand that every yes is also a no to something else. Saying yes to another unnecessary gathering may mean saying no to rest. Saying yes to another hour of gossip may mean saying no to focused work. Saying yes to everyone's emotional needs may mean saying no to your own. Your time is limited, even if it does not always feel that way. Buddhism constantly reminds us of impermanence. Everything changes, including our life and the amount of time we have. When you truly understand this, wasting hours on unnecessary conflict begins to feel less attractive. You realize you do not have endless days to spend arguing with people who refuse to understand you. You do not have endless years to keep proving yourself. You do not have unlimited energy to keep maintaining relationships that constantly leave you empty. So you become more selective. You may begin enjoying routines that once seemed boring. Waking up around the same time, exercising, eating simple food, reading, working, spending time with your family, taking a walk, sleeping peacefully. There may be no dramatic story in these activities, but there is stability, and stability gives you room to build something. When your life is constantly chaotic, you spend most of your energy recovering from arguments, emotional shocks, late nights, bad decisions, broken promises, and unnecessary stress. Very little energy remains for long-term growth. But a quiet life gives you consistency. You can work toward a goal for months without someone pulling you into a new crisis every week. You can take care of your health because your routine is more stable. You can save money because you are no longer spending just to keep up with other people. You can strengthen your mind because you have time to reflect. This is why peace can look simple while producing powerful results. A person with a quiet life may not appear exciting on social media, but they may be building a much stronger future in private. Do not confuse visibility with progress. Some of the most important work in your life will happen when nobody is watching. Healing happens quietly. Discipline is often quiet. Saving money is quiet. Learning is quiet. Building trust is quiet. Becoming emotionally mature is quiet. Chaos gets attention. Peace builds foundations. If people begin calling your life boring because you are no longer interested in unnecessary drama, take it as a sign that your priorities may be changing in a healthy direction. Let them think your evenings are boring because you would rather rest than join another pointless gathering. Let them think you are quiet because you no longer tell everyone your plans. Let them wonder why you do not react to everything anymore. You are not required to entertain people with your life. You are allowed to live in a way that feels peaceful to you. There is another powerful benefit to becoming less reactive. People lose the ability to easily control you. If someone knows they can upset you with one comment, they have access to your emotions. If someone knows they can make you jealous, angry, or insecure whenever they want, they can repeatedly pull your attention toward them. But when you become calmer, their power becomes weaker. They say something provocative, and you pause. They try to make you compete, and you stay focused. They ignore you to get a reaction, and you continue living your life. You do not become emotionless. You simply stop giving every person the power to decide what emotional state you will be in today. This is a strong form of freedom. You begin owning your reactions, and once you own your reactions, you become more difficult to disturb. Buddhism does not teach us to control the world. The world will always contain difficult people, unexpected situations, criticism, loss, and disappointment. You cannot make life perfectly peaceful outside, but you can become more careful about what you allow inside. You can choose what deserves your attention. You can choose which conversations continue. You can choose who receives regular access to you. You can choose whether a small problem deserves an entire day of your thoughts. These choices slowly shape your inner life. You may still experience stress, sadness, anger, and uncertainty. Peace does not mean never having difficult emotions. It means difficult emotions no longer control everything. A peaceful person can feel anger without turning it into destruction. They can feel sadness without making sadness their identity. They can face criticism without collapsing. They can experience rejection without begging for acceptance. This is what makes a quiet life powerful. It gives you room to observe yourself. You begin noticing your own patterns instead of constantly studying everyone else's behavior. You notice what triggers you. You notice where you still seek approval. You notice which relationships make you abandon yourself. You notice which habits create unnecessary stress. And because you finally have quiet, you can work on these things. Noise can hide a lot from you. When your life is full of people, messages, entertainment, gossip, and constant activity, you do not have much time to look inward. Silence removes the distractions. Sometimes that is uncomfortable. You may discover that you were using people to avoid yourself. Maybe you stayed busy because you did not want to think about your direction. Maybe you kept relationships alive because you were afraid to feel lonely. Maybe you constantly searched for attention because you had not learned how to value yourself without it. A quiet life gives you the opportunity to change these patterns. Instead of immediately filling every empty space with another person, you sit with yourself. Instead of asking someone else what you should do, you think deeply. Instead of running toward another distraction, you allow yourself to feel what needs to be felt. This is where real inner strength begins. Eventually, you stop seeing solitude as punishment. It becomes a place where you recover your energy. You can spend an evening alone and not feel like something is missing. You can take yourself somewhere without needing company. You can sit in silence without reaching for your phone every few seconds. You become comfortable in your own presence. And when you enjoy your own company, your relationships change. You no longer keep someone close simply because you are afraid of being alone. You can choose people based on how healthy the connection is, not based on how desperately you need company. This means fewer unnecessary people will stay in your life. That is okay. Not every empty space needs to be filled. Sometimes emptiness is what allows something better to enter. An overcrowded life has no room for new ideas, no room for better relationships, no room for reflection, no room for rest. When you release unnecessary connections, you create space. At first, space can feel strange, but over time, it can feel like freedom. The goal is not to become someone who rejects everyone. Buddhism places great value on compassion, kindness, and connection. Human beings need relationships. We learn from each other, support each other, and experience love through each other. The lesson is about quality and balance. Keep people who bring honesty, kindness, respect, and growth into your life. Be there for people who are there for you. Build relationships where both people can give and receive. But do not keep chaos simply because you are afraid of quiet. Do not keep disrespect simply because you fear loneliness. Do not keep shallow relationships just so your life appears full. A full calendar is not the same as a full heart. A crowded phone is not the same as genuine connection. A busy social life is not the same as inner peace. Sometimes the richest life is surprisingly simple. You know who your real people are. You know what matters to you. You know where your energy belongs. You stop needing to explain every choice. Your days become quieter because you are no longer reacting to people who have no meaningful role in your life. Your nights become calmer because there are fewer conversations to replay. Your mind becomes clearer because fewer voices are competing inside it. And your relationships become stronger because the people who remain are there because of genuine connection, not unlimited access. Let your life become boring to anyone who needs chaos to be entertained. Let people wonder why you no longer respond to every little thing. Let them say you have changed. Growth often looks like change to people who were comfortable with your old patterns. You do not have to defend it. Keep building your quiet life. Protect your mornings. Protect your attention. Protect your private moments. Protect your goals before they become strong enough to handle outside opinions. Learn to enjoy days where nothing dramatic happens. A day where nobody argues with you is a good day. A day where you complete your work, eat peacefully, talk to someone you love, and sleep with a clear mind is not a boring day. It is a successful day. We often overlook these simple victories because the world teaches us to chase intensity. But Buddhism offers another direction. Instead of constantly asking, "What exciting thing can I add to my life?" begin asking, "What unnecessary thing can I release?" Maybe you can release one pointless argument. Maybe one exhausting relationship. Maybe the need to respond immediately. Maybe the habit of checking what everyone else is doing. Maybe the need to make your life look interesting to strangers. Every unnecessary thing you release creates a little more room for peace. And over time, those small spaces become your new way of living. You stop feeling guilty for being unavailable. You stop worrying when your phone is quiet. You stop believing you need constant company. You become more interested in building a life you enjoy than displaying a life other people admire. That is when quiet becomes powerful. You are no longer running from silence. You are choosing it. You are no longer losing people because you cannot maintain relationships. You are allowing unnecessary relationships to naturally fall away. You are no longer boring. You are simply no longer available for every distraction that asks for your attention. And the less access unnecessary people have to you, the more space you create for clarity, meaningful relationships, personal growth, and the kind of peace that does not need to be explained to anyone. A peaceful life does not always require you to change everything around you. Sometimes it simply requires you to become more careful about who gets access to you. Not everyone needs to know your plans, understand your decisions, hear your private thoughts, or receive your attention whenever they want it. The more unnecessary access you give away, the more unnecessary opinions, expectations, problems, and emotional noise you may have to carry. Buddhism teaches us that peace grows when we stop clinging to approval, attention, and constant connection. You do not need to be surrounded by people every day to have a meaningful life. You do not need to answer every message immediately, explain every boundary, or keep every relationship alive simply because it once mattered to you. Some people can be loved from a distance. Some conversations can end without an argument. Some relationships can become quieter without becoming enemies. As you protect your time and energy, you may notice your circle becoming smaller. Do not automatically see that as a loss. Sometimes fewer people means fewer distractions, fewer unnecessary problems, and more space for the relationships that truly matter. A small circle filled with respect, honesty, and peace can be far more valuable than a large circle filled with gossip, competition, pressure, and drama. Learn to become comfortable with quiet moments. Enjoy your own company. Protect your mornings, your private thoughts, your goals, and the parts of your life that do not need an audience. You can still be kind, compassionate, and loving while having strong boundaries. Protecting your peace does not mean closing your heart. It means becoming wiser about where you place your energy. There will always be people who misunderstand your silence. Some may think you have changed because you are no longer as available as before. Others may become uncomfortable when you stop giving them unlimited access to your life. Let them have their opinions. You do not need to return to old patterns simply to make other people comfortable. Choose relationships where you can breathe. Choose people who respect your boundaries instead of testing them. Choose conversations that leave you feeling lighter instead of exhausted. Choose a lifestyle that allows you to sleep peacefully instead of constantly recovering from unnecessary drama. And remember, a quiet life is not a small life. It can be a deeply meaningful life. You can grow quietly, heal quietly, work quietly, love quietly, and become stronger without announcing every step. You do not need everyone watching you for your life to have value. Sometimes the greatest change happens when you stop asking how many people you can keep close and start asking how much peace those connections allow you to keep within yourself. Give less access to what disturbs you. Give more attention to what strengthens you. Keep your heart kind, your circle meaningful, your boundaries clear, and your life peaceful. Because in the end, the goal is not to have the most people around you. The goal is to build a life where your mind finally feels at home.